This is Daniel Bayer from Next Best Picture, and we are talking with Robbie Williams, the subject and songwriter and voiceover artist from the new film Better Man. Robbie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Very excited to talk to you about this film, and not just about this film, because I have to start by saying my deepest apologies for not making you a bigger star in America. I was a teenager when Millennium was released, and I tried to get everyone to listen to it, but I was unsuccessful.
You did your best, and I appreciate your efforts. Thank you for your service.
We do what we can. My first actual question has to be, when I talked to Michael Gracey, the director of this film, out of the Toronto premiere, he said that he had first connected with you when he was actually working on The Greatest Showman. And if it wasn't for a specific phone call from you, there might not have been The Greatest. So I wanted to ask, what, if anything, you remember about that phone call?
No, Michael Gracey came round to my house to ask me a favor. He said, I'm making a film called The Greatest Showman. And I thought he was going to ask me to be the lead. And he played me the songs and he showed me the storyboard. And he said, and now's the favor. And I said, ask me anything. I'm ready for that question. And he said, will you convince Hugh Jackman to play the lead in my movie? And I was crestfallen. But everything has worked out for the best for all of us, Hugh Jackman, Michael Gracey, and me.
Absolutely. And when you first said to Michael in the series of later interviews or chats, that recordings that he has that led to this film, that you've often felt like a monkey throughout your life in different contexts, did you ever imagine that he would take that so literally and make this film about you as an anthropomorphized monkey?
How could you? Do you know what I mean? How could you?
I don't know.
How could you imagine that that would be what he was cooking up, or that would be where he'd get to in his mind? I just imagine him going to bed, trying to figure out a USP for this movie, and that jumped in there, and he asked me, and I was sold on it straight away. And yeah, I suppose it's an unusual aspect of me being on the spectrum somewhere that I didn't find this unusual in any way. It made more sense than a human playing a human. And when you watch the movie, it actually makes more sense than a human playing a human.
It absolutely works. And one of my favorite things is that he's not a monkey. It's just a human as a monkey in a digital monkey suit. And he even has all of the old hairstyles that you used to have at the appropriate eras. And so I have to ask, how trippy was that the first time you saw it, seeing all the old looks that you used to have on this monkey?
It wasn't, it was sold so well by Michael Gracey to me that it will be magical and mind-blowing and unbelievable, that when I first saw the scenes before they were stitched together, it was all of those things that he said it was. Magical and beguiling and unbelievable and, important that we tell the story this way.
At the Toronto premiere at TIFF, you had said that you had seen the film 3 times and that it wasn't enough. How many times have you seen it now? And has it been enough yet?
11. Just enough. It's enough now. I recommend people see this 11 times.
11 times, got it. That is very good to know. You do narrate the movie. Was that something that was like an instant yes for you when they asked? Was that something that was always going to do, or
I've always
how did that
loved
come about?
watching movies with narration in it, and I've always thought, I wonder if I could do that and sell it without sounding wooden. And yeah, it was a prospect that I was really looking forward to it and embraced it fully in the hopes that I wouldn't let myself down and it would seem that the narration doesn't get in the way.
And it doesn't, and it does infuse the film with even more of your personality than the music in some ways.
Yeah,
And that's perfect.
infuses the film with more personality of mine than's needed.
Well, that's to everyone's taste, I suppose. One of the things that you say in the film is that your soul has always been cabaret. And I'm curious, how would you say that that has translated into your music, other than like the obvious things like Sweet One, You're Winning and stuff like that?
Cabaret Soul. That's a really good album title. Thank you for that.
Mm. You're
Um,
welcome.
so, I set out with grand grand schemes and wants and needs when I left the boy band. I wanted to lance the ghosts of the past. When you're in a boy band and you're actually up to some nefarious, high octane hedonism, and you're more of a raver than you are a lily white pop person. You relate more to cooler genres and want to be part of cooler genres. So when I left Take That, I set out to do that. And as it happens, when I open my creativity and I set myself to a song melodically and lyrically, all that comes out is pop. So I guess I'm a pure pop person with pop sensibilities and cabaret-esque want and needs. I've come to find that, my role in the entertainment industry is of an entertainer. And nobody talks about entertaining and entertainment anymore. And I find that there is a clear road for me. It's like, well, if nobody else is going to do it, I will.
And you do and have been for quite a while now. Um, and there's so many crazy things that have happened in your personal life and your career. What is the craziest thing that happened during the period depicted in the film that isn't included?
I suppose having a contract out of me to kill me.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's a big one. Navigating death, uh, navigating oncoming lack of safety and security for my physical well-being and my mental well-being. So I think that's pretty crazy.
I would agree. And that's something that it's something that a lot of people would never have to even consider, this prospect of a hit out on their life. And you've been incredibly open throughout your career, at least the latter part of your career, about all the work that you have done on yourself, on the therapy and rehab and all the other things. So I'm curious that when it came time to put all this in a movie, did you then have any trepidation about that being on such a larger scale?
No, none at all.
No.
I overshare. It is my superpower. If you are neurodivergent, your parent goes, "Don't worry, it will be your superpower." Not my parents, because we didn't know about neurodivergency in the 70s and 80s. It was just like, you're just stupid. Stop being stupid, and can't you just concentrate? Oh my God, if you just got it together, you. And it wasn't so much my parents. It was just like teachers could do better if he'd just stop having ADHD, which we didn't know existed at the time.
Right.
Stop being genetically that way. My God. My notes to them is stop being that way towards neurodivergent people. Come up with a way to educate them. I think they are. But I remain uneducated, and it has been my superpower.
I like that. I like that a lot. And I've heard you say in interviews that you've never spoken with your father about the things that are covered in this film. Is that a regret for you, or is it something that you've become at peace with?
I've become at peace with it. It's not a regret.
Mm.
Um, I love my dad, and he's an incredibly charming, lovable man, and wonderful to be around. Everybody that knows him loves him, and if you met him for 5 minutes, you'd go away. You know, that's that saying, not everybody remembers what you say, but they remember how they made you feel. My dad makes you feel good. And I'm good. This house is clean. You know, if there are resentments, I can't spot them anymore.
That's a really nice thing to be able to say, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Untriggered.
Yeah. I'm triggered. I like that. Um, Coming back to the craziness of this film, I'm curious, like has any performance that you've ever given matched the craziness of those Nebworth concerts? That many people over 3 days, that young in your career?
They all matter. They are all triggering in one way or another. They are all
Mm.
where once it was just combating severe stage fright and terror and masking it to present something to the general public that was palatable to them. That was a lot. These days, it's a mishmash of lots of different things. I can be having a really wonderful time while also at the same time eviscerating myself by making up comments that I would read on Twitter whilst I'm performing. The monkeys have started to become type on the internet. Like I was on stage the other night in Australia and I got a cold and my nose was running and I was jet lagged and I felt fatigued and I felt crazy. And because my nose was running, I was like, the internet's going to think I'm on cocaine. The internet
Mhm.
thinks they're going to think that Robbie Williams has relapsed. But also at the same time, there's another half of me going, isn't this wonderful? I'm being adored.
And that is a very nice feeling. But one of my favorite things about that Nebworth sequence in the film is that it's not just the audience that you're dealing with. It is all these past versions of you that are sort of haunting or at least the Robbie in the film as he's performing. Is that something that you also experienced when performing around that time or even since?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything in the film is how it felt.
Mm.
And, like I just explained, the monkeys are still there. They just don't get
Yeah.
to ride the car. They just don't get to drive the car anymore.
And that's very good because they can be a little crazy behind the wheel of a moving vehicle.
Yeah, they want to drive it off a cliff.
Yeah, we don't want that. Obviously you've poured a lot of yourself into the songs that you've written over the years, but what was what was that different in any way writing a song for this that is sort of self-consciously summing up your life and career?
No, all of my songs have been self-consciously summing up what's going from me in the moment. They're autobiographical. I've said this before in interviews that I'm a journalist and my sole responsibility as a journalist is to relay what's going on from live inside my brain.
I really like that feeling. And if you were going to write a song now, what is the line in your brain about the Better Man press tour?
And what is the line? Okay, so it is. I don't know. I think that I feel crazy because I've left no stone unturned with the promo of this film. I've got on every plane. I've done every interview that I've been asked to do. I've done every TV show. I've spoken at great length. I carry on speaking at great length. I've been in country after country after country, time zone after time zone after time zone. So I feel quite vulnerable right now. I feel like expectant and vulnerable. I feel sensitive. But this was expected. I was going to get on a ship to go and give this my everything. But now I am several months into this promo trip, and I am feeling the culmination of those hours spent in the air and spent in my mind.
Has it been different for you, the audience reaction to this film, as opposed to like audience reactions to your concerts or albums?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if I go by Rotten Tomatoes alone, it's got 98% audience reaction. I've never had 98% audience reaction to anything that I've done, even if that is talking to my wife and my 4 kids. I wouldn't get 98% approval from them.
Well, that's very difficult to get 98% approval from one's family.
It really is.
Um, I'm curious because obviously all the songs that are featured in the movie are fantastic and they're all big hits and maybe your biggest hits, that's arguable, of course. But were there any songs from your back catalog that you were really hoping that
No, none at all.
that didn't get in?
None at
No.
all. Didn't care. Yeah, didn't care.
Really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's all Michael Gracey's choosing and doing.
Yeah. Do you have, I guess, one song that you think is underrated by everyone else?
No,
No.
no. I think I have an album that I think is underrated by the general public, and it's Rude Box. And it's because of the single that I released as the first single, and I totally understand that and get that why people were like, eh? But that album is peak me.
I'm gonna out myself because that's my favorite Robbie Williams album.
See?
There is not a better line in pop music of that time than "I love you, babe, but face it, she's Madonna."
There you go.
There just
Well,
isn't.
God bless you, and thank you. You understand. You get it.
I try. Um, the other thing that I wanted to ask about your back catalog is that given how much of a gigantic era-defining hit it became, does it bother you that Angels never hit #1 in its initial chart run?
Oh God, no.
Mm.
Yeah, no, not at all. It gave me my career, and its long tail in the charts was I would say more gratifying than any #1 that I've ever had. It's amazing that some #1s I've had, definitely in the UK, I shouldn't have had, but it's weird and an anomaly that Angels wasn't. But no, I've never lost any sleep or given a second thought for that song not being #1. It's #1 in the hearts and minds of lots of people.
Many people around the world, and I'm so glad that hopefully it can get a second life in America thanks to this movie.
Well, Jessica Simpson tried. I
She did,
tried.
bless her.
Josh Groban's tried. We've all tried. And maybe I should just take the hint.
The taste level in America when it comes to music is just in its own sphere.
Listen, they've given us so much to be grateful for, so I can't knock anything about America and its people and its taste.
Exactly. Well, as have you over the years and as you've done with this film. So thank you again so much for your work on the film. And thanks for speaking with us today, man.
I hug you like this.
Ah, I hug you back.
Okay. Lots of love.
Thank you so much, Robbie.
Thank you.